Look, I know you're in a bad place right now.
Paradise, more like it.
You're not thinking straight. I don't believe that this is what you really want.
I believe it because it's true.
I know you love me. And I love you. I love you.
This is all your fault.
What?
I never wanted to get married in the first place.
It's,
The crash, that was a timely wake-up call.
you don't mean that.
Yes, I do.
It's the alcohol.
No, it is me talking. So are you finally going to listen?
Fine. But I can't want you to see yourself.
I never asked you to!
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Have you ever done the old reply all or sent the email to the person you're slagging off? Anybody?
Yes.
The old recall there.
Yeah. I've done the old I've sent a text message to somebody that was about them before. This was years
Had to
ago.
worm out of it. Mhm.
Yeah. You know, when we, like years ago, when we didn't, it was harder to text. You started the text message and then you added the person to the text, didn't you? Years ago. And I wrote this text message about how they were annoying me. And then when it said add the person because they're on my mind, I added them and sent it to them. And then I realised about 10 minutes later, and I was like, oh, God.
The blood drains from your face. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, you're not on your own. Al's with you in that club.
Yeah.
He's done a boob. We've not found out John's response yet. I'm sure it's coming. Or his reaction, should I say. Either that or he's gone underground in shame, whatever it said. John's a prick. Love Mr. Stewart. XOXO. Macca's back, everybody. He's with us. Macca, how you doing?
I'll say I'm fine because no one's interested in it. So I'm fine, yeah.
We are.
yeah, we've been catching up air. Major life events here for Macca since he's last been on the pod.
But apart from moving house, becoming a granddad, and everything still being awful, that nothing's changed in my life.
I think we've been lucky to nail you down, haven't we? You've had that much going on.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever done the old reply all, or any mishaps on the old email? You've been good.
I've not done that, but I've done what Sophie done with the old style text, and I've put someone's a. Can you say prick? You probably delete it out. Someone's a prick, and I'm mate. And then I got the reply. Was that for someone else, mate? And then lucky, I joked out about it by saying, no, it was for you. And he put haha. So it made it look like it was a joke. And it wasn't, but it was in the end.
Nice save, I like it. I'd have been like, no, I know another Dave. Right, home and away. Do you want your headlines, guys?
Yeah,
go on
then. Thanks. Felicity continues to spiral, casting Tane out along the way. It was down to the wire as Brie and Remy finally talk, stopping him from leaving town. Ava is revealed as Theo's weirdo superfan. And Ziggy and Dean panic when Izzy gets a temperature.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts, and ensure you never miss an episode.
So where we pick up from last week's podcast, we're tagging on an episode from last week because we were a bit behind last week, weren't we? So if you remember, Tane was inquiring with Mac about how Flick's doing because she just moved out to the caravan park in like a fit of humiliation and rage after being cruelly confronted with the bottles of vodka and whatever else she was stashing in the airing cupboard the week before. And, Tane sort of goes over to her after Max says, you really need to have a chat with her. She's not doing well. And Alf's there picking up all her empties, from around the place. And actually, Alf did really well here. He didn't Alf it, did he? I thought, he just said, he didn't have a go. He just said, if you ever want to come up to the house, that's fine. Which I thought was quite out of character for old Alf at the moment there. But Tane arrived
before his coffee.
I know, that's true.
Or tea.
Before he's warmed up. Yeah, none of that hipster. No flat white here. Tane arrives, he wants to talk, and he's like, what's going on? Enough is enough. She's like, I had to get away from you, no questions. I need somewhere where there's no judgment. And he's just sort of laying it down at this point, isn't he? You need to be straight with me. Are we done? She can't breathe. He's trying to help her, trying to see sense of why she's behaving this way. And it just blows up, doesn't it? And in the end, we result in her basically saying, you ain't my fiance. literally throwing the ring at him. Oh my God. What do we think?
That bit shocked me, I'll be honest. They're throwing the ring at him. Like, she was really quite horrible to him, I think. I mean, she's been horrible to him for a few episodes now and just, being a bit out of order. But I think literally throwing it in his face was just harsh. I don't know. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm just alluding to what you said a few shows ago. She's very immature and childlike, isn't she? You mentioned that a few times on the podcast I've listened to, and and again, what you alluded to, she doesn't seem to understand that he's her rock type thing.
Yeah,
it's only when she wants it to be, and it's as if like, I'm like, footloose and fancy free, for want of a better phrase. And now it's sort of, I don't want to get married. I'll go back to the way I was before, where I was unsure and just throw it back in your face, and it seems to be childish, from here, hiding behind the drink or not. I think even if she wasn't drinking, she probably would have done it, because that's the way a character is, isn't it? Very selfish and very, childlike, I'd say.
Yeah,
but
I think you're right.
harsh on Tane, definitely.
You absolutely. I think you. Go on.
I was going to say, can you figure out why she's doing this? Because I can't quite work out why she's so angry with Tane.
Yeah. Well, she blames it because later on, when he revisits her, I think you raise a good point there about her. Even if there was the alcohol thing wasn't involved, she probably would be like this. You're right. She's a loose cannon, isn't she? Do you know what I mean? And Tane's been on eggshells since the beginning, and I think he's long suffering, Tane, I would say. But when he goes back to her later on, a couple of episodes later, you'll notice that she says, I blame you. I blame you for the accident. I blame you for the way that everything that's happened. So that's why it's Tane's in the firing line. She tells him, doesn't she? I blame you.
That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose that's her reasoning. It didn't seem like enough to be this cross with him.
Yeah, she was alluding to it because he sort of wanted the marriage and she didn't, and then he wanted to marry within 2 weeks and she didn't. I think she was like throwing it all back to him, saying, well, you're the one who wants to get married. You're the one who wanted to do it in 2 weeks. You're the one who wanted to do this, that, and the other. Yeah. I never wanted to get married, even though I did really, but I'm now going to pretend that I didn't, type thing,
Yeah, the accident was that one last sign telling me not to do it, something like that, she said, didn't she? I think it's a very selfish response and very, very Flick in turn, because she's like that. She's very, very selfish. Even down to that point where she's saying all those really hurtful things to him. He's standing there going, I love you. I can't watch you do this, I'm sitting here like lips wobbling, like, oh God, getting way too involved.
I suppose I'm struggling. Sorry.
That's all right, go on.
I suppose I'm struggling with her blaming Tane, because actually the crash, she's making it, like you say, she's very selfish and childlike and everything else. And she's making the crash all about her. Like, she's being self-centered about oh, the crash is your fault, Tani. The crash is technically Cash's fault, isn't it? Because it was the bikies, and the reason why they did it was because he killed the president or whatever, killed Marty. So I'm like, why is she angry with Tani and not angry with Cash at all? I'm just finding it a bit difficult to follow her thought.
They always say you hate the ones you love first, don't they? That's what
That's
they always
true.
say.
Yeah.
So maybe it's sort of playing up to that old, cliche.
Because she can get away with lashing out at him, maybe. Because he'll take it, won't he? Because he just takes it and just.
I think that's it. She can lash out at him. She knows he's calm and collective and won't really.
Won't
battle
retaliate.
back.
Yeah.
And I think she sees Cash as like an extension of her. Do you know that scene where, because Cash has tried getting through to her a few times, hasn't he? And there's that scene where they sat at the fire or whatever, and she's like, what happened with our parents was a warning sign. People like us, this is us. That people like us don't deserve anything.
Cursed. Yeah.
So perhaps the way she sees Cash is different to Tani, I don't know.
Yeah, it was really it was sort of like that real self-defeatist attitude. Not you see someone from a working class background or lower working class, and they win something. Oh, that never happens to people like us. It's as if the self-fulfilling that anything that good does happen shouldn't happen, and I think that's part of her problem.
Yeah.
She believes that good things shouldn't happen to her because of a childhood, and even when good things are presented to her, like Gary and the wedding and Tani, she doesn't want to know about it. She rebukes it all, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's true.
But maybe she's trying to self-fulfill the fact that she needs to be unhappy because that's what's expected.
Yeah,
you're
interesting theory. Yeah.
There's a psychological angle on it there.
You're right, I think. Yeah.
You've just brought we've gone highbrow. You've just brought the mood up. You've just brought it up.
I didn't spend 4 years at university for nothing.
We've just lost half our audience now.
I'm going to come back later on. I'll be juggling,
Well, another character I think needs to do a bit of work on herself is old Brie there. Remy's leaving town. He can't have it, he can't sit and he can't see anymore. He can't do it. He can't stand by and watch. She's going through hell, yada, yada, yada. And she goes over. We said she'd do this, didn't we, on first look? She goes over and tries to talk him round just as he's packing up like a bag. I don't know what his plan was. And he's saying nothing's keeping him here. I think he needed to hear what she was about to say because it completely U-turns his whole outlook. He's got a new outlook on life, as it said in the episode synopsis. So she pulls out the letter, still in the evidence bag, which I loved. still in the evidence.
Crime scene letter.
Yeah.
Romantic.
CSI Summer Bay.
I know. So romantic.
Did make me chuckle. So if this is how you felt, why aren't we together? Why didn't you tell me? I'm like, well, she only got it back from custody yesterday. She explains, I'm broken. I want to give you the whole of me. Dead stop it. Will you wait for me? Of course I'll wait for you. And now he's bouncing around town like the cat that's got the cream. So you're a massive fan of Remy, aren't you, Sophie? Thoughts on this? Are you happy that this has worked out? You were telling me last week you're a bit sort of over these two. You don't care whether it happens or not now because it's been drawn out a bit, and the mopiness was getting to you. Has this changed a bit? Are you back on board, or how are you feeling?
Not really, because it's it's still kind of keeping her dangling, isn't it? Really, or keeping him dangling, really. So I don't know. I don't think it's lit me up at all as much as it has with Remy. He seems quite happy with this arrangement, but I don't know. I don't know what she's promising him really with that letter showing it. I don't know whether I would have shown him that letter now when you can't
at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think 1 minute she's like, I need space. Then he's running away. And she's like, oh, I still need space. But here's a letter saying that I had feelings for you. And I felt the same way as you do. And I might feel the same way again if you let me go, go on a journey and get therapy or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know whether she's just scared that he's going to run away and that's it, and she wants to have her cake and eat it. So she doesn't want him right now, but she might do in the future. But she can't decide. So
do you think it's a bit cruel of her to ask him to wait around? No, because you'd know he would do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
she doesn't want to tell him to bog off, but she also doesn't. She doesn't want to have the idea of them together taken off the table. So she's trying to keep her options open. It just feels a bit cruel to me. And I'll be honest, I still don't care whether they get together or not anymore. I've gone past it now. So.
Oh, no going back.
No.
Oh, interesting. What about Maka? So obviously we've not spoke to you since this whole storyline's kicked off, have we really? So what first of all, what have you thought about sort of Brie and Remy, the affair, the criminal?
Yeah, see, I like the affair. I like stuff like that. I like affairs and soaps. But yeah, I'm sort of with Sophie. It's a bit up and down for me. I always think she's just come out of a full-on abusive relationship, and then sort of wants to jump straight into Remy. Then she's saying, no, I don't. Then she's saying, yes, she did. And then her mind's persuaded by a poem she wrote. I'm thinking, I don't know if I've been in an abusive relationship that I'd want to that quickly move on to Remy. But don't get me wrong, Remy's just a decent bloke. There's no harm in him, and I think he's a nice fella. But I just
think it's too soon.
Put my finger on it, Yeah. And he's sure if he's any sort of bloke, like if I was going out with a woman and she was having just come out of an abusive relationship, I'd give her lots of space and support her rather than saying, "Oh, come on, go out with me," and I'm leaving the bay.
Sort of guilt in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be chasing it and put pressure on and going, I'm going to leave the bay, and that make it feel even worse. If you loved her, you've got to give it that bit of space and say in your own time. And they sort of allude to that, the script writers, and then the next episode he's putting pressure on. So
yeah,
it works both ways for them too. They both seem to be up and down, not really sort of, oh, I'll give you space, no, I won't. Oh, I don't want to go out with you. Oh, yeah, I will. So I think both of them haven't got a clue amongst themselves, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not really surprised he wanted to leave town, because she did sort of call him the same as Jacob. She did say basically you're the same to him last week.
Me off.
And I think that would have probably been quite painful to hear, on top of the heartbreak and everything else. I don't know. I'm not surprised that he wanted to run away, I'll be honest. But yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. And it was. Sorry, go on, sir.
I was going to say, what do you make of the decision for her to kill Jacob?
Oh yeah, I was pleased with that. Yeah, that was great. That
was it.
Yeah, because I don't mean great as in like let's all go further. I just I don't know. I don't know. I used to work with battered wives and that, and as one of my jobs years ago, and it's horrendous. And anyone who's on the receiving end of that deserves what they get. So I don't mean maybe killed, but in a soap, then yeah, it works.
Yeah.
I think we wanted him to get his justice, didn't we? I think we wanted him to go to court and have to take responsibility. We just feel like it's gone from Jacob being the bad guy to Brie being the bad guy in a way.
Yeah, and it's gone from, she had all this bottled up tension and nervousness, and she was scared of her own shadow, to whack at someone with a spade till he was dead. And then just comes back with less remorse that she's killed someone than, you know what I mean? It was just like, oh, by the way, the police have found you not guilty. Here's your poem in the bag, and get back to work. It just seemed it just seemed a bit as if, you know what I mean? It was like maybe the script writers thought, we don't want a long drawn out police investigation. Let's just move this on quickly. So
it does feel very rushed.
Yeah,
it does, absolutely. And I agree with you. She's now back and she works in a hospital. It's not like her job is low risk. Do you know what I mean? And
exactly.
Whatever's happened, she's killed someone. So you know, where is the sort of assessment, if you like, that she's not capable of doing it again? You know, where's that? They're also like, now we've got a murderer who's just walking around free. If you missed an episode and you missed that one line where she gets a phone call from the Department of Justice or whatever, going, all dropped. Like, if you happen to be in the kitchen making a brew and that happened, you'd be thinking, why she's still walking around? You know?
It wasn't even official though, was it? It was just Rose telling her on the sofa in their house.
Yeah,
it was just Rose
Oh,
saying.
that was it. Yeah, I thought it was.
It wasn't even anything official. It was just like, oh yeah, I've been to work today, and you're off the hook. There you go. It's over. What?
I think from a fan sort of dramatic perspective, I wanted to see him have to stand and look her in the eyes and apologise, and I wanted to see him go down for his, you know, for what he did. I think we've had a few missed opportunities. They've moved it on for whatever reason, whether that is to catapult her together with Remy. But for me, it leaves, same as you, Marcus, same as you, Sophie, it leaves a few sort of holes that just stop me getting invested in them as a couple. You know, I'm a bit like, okay, Remy's literally acting like, oh, he's out the way, crack on, you know, like, and it's a human being still. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And there was no conflict of interest, was there? Because her job is to save lives. She's murdered someone and then just gets on with it. If you were a nurse and you killed someone and your whole vocation was to save people's lives, that'd be in your mind all the time. You know.
Yeah.
And you'd have constant nightmares about whacking someone over the head with a spade and stuff. Well, I would anyway, but. You know, it's just they haven't touched upon that after the conflict of interest or nothing like that. As I say, it's very rushed. I agree with you, mate. That's
Yeah, completely. Well, Remy's sort of bouncing around town, as we say. After this, now there's a chance that there's hope. She's giving this hope. You know, give me a moment. Here's my letter, and just wait for me. I'll do it in my own time. Type talk, and this means he has a bit of a positive influence on Eden, because she's had her difficulties in the old memory department since the accident, and she's obviously struggling, and she's got the same pressure, if you like, in a way, from Cash, you know, like, you know, trying to remember, the pressure to remember the feelings there and what have you. And then he convinces Eden, you know, that you need to give it a go, you need to give him a talk, and her memories have started coming back, haven't they? You know, there's the odd touch and the odd this and that. And she's remembered, but she's sort of kept it insular at this point in time. And she eventually goes to Cash and finds him and thinks it's about time. You know, I had a chat with him, only after talking to Cash, of course. And you know, they sit down. It's all small talk, isn't it? You know, oh yeah, I can drive again soon, and I can get into music again. And he just calls it out at that point. I think he's reached a point, and you know, it's bad when Cash has reached it. You know, where he's bored of it, Mr. Bore himself. So, and then it sort of shuts it down. And later on, there's another scene, and he goes back round, changed his mind. There's this sort of semi-kiss, half kiss, lips lock, and then it's a bit like, oh, freak. Are we into these? I think I'm getting into these. What do you guys think?
Oh, not sure. I'm not sure, I'll be honest. I'm still not feeling it, really.
Are you not?
No.
You're not falling for the slow burn?
No. I don't know whether they seem to put a lot of effort into the Bree and Remy stuff and the Cash and Eden stuff all the way up to this, and now we're not getting enough scenes really with them. We're getting a lot of scenes of Eden on her own having these flashbacks. I just don't think we've had enough of a heart-to-heart with Cash yet, enough honesty for me to feel like I'm invested again. I don't know, I feel a bit disjointed with this.
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same, Sophie. It seems to be the odd flashback that's staring into space, and then the phone call where she presses the red button to say, I don't want to talk to you. So it's not really developing, really. It's developing in her head, and she's trying to close it down for whatever reason. You know, she fancied the bloke. Why is she trying to close it down if she's remembering it?
Yeah.
Because she's
Well,
not
I think
remembering that she didn't like him. She's remembering that she did like him, which was passion with him, whatever they call it up there.
Yeah.
You
well,
know?
yeah, there's a bit of both, isn't there? She remembers like telling him that she loved him and all that stuff. She doesn't, as far as we know, she don't remember the Endu yet, which is like a crucial evening, very crucial evening. But then do you see that moment where she goes up to him at the beach? I can't remember what day it was on now, and then she goes to sort of as if to open up to him, and then she has a flashback of him saying no to her.
Yes.
And it puts her off having that conversation. So it's sort of building on the will they won't they thing. I thought anyway, and I think I wanted these together anyway. But yeah, I quite like how slow it's going, if I'm being honest.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I think, I don't know, when he went to the hospital and she said, oh, I don't remember anything, like, tell me everything that happened. And we were told through them talking and him talking to other people that he told her everything. He told her that she came on strong and then he backed off, and then, he realised later on it was a mistake, and he was just being stupid, and he did love her and he did have the same feelings for her and all that stuff. So when she got that flashback of him basically saying, oh no, I'm not interested in you in that way. Yeah, it would have been a shock to her, but she'd literally been told that by him that he'd done it. So I was like, isn't this confirmation that your memory's coming back and it's matching what Cash has said to you? I don't know. I'm still not really sure how I feel about them as a couple as well, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're all right as a couple, but I think I've got to disagree with Sam. It was dead slow them getting together in the first place. And then when they did get together, suddenly I forgot everything. And now it's taken ages to get together again. We've been through this, haven't we? We've been through that.
This is the third time.
Get together. Yeah, I know, that's what I mean. So, like, when are they going to realise that, oh, yeah, I do fancy her.
Yeah.
Let's go out with each other, rather than, is he going to forget next?
Yeah.
It just seems to be dragged out. I know you like the slow burning of Sam, but not for the second time or third time.
Yeah, and I hear you on that point. To be fair, yeah, you are right. Well, I think you compare it, don't you, to the other couples on the show? You've got people like Flick and Tani, who they did the whole, that they shouldn't be together, unrequited love, got there, and then everyone loves them as a couple. The Ziggy and Dean thing, 2.0, but everyone loves them, like. Is it hitting the same mark as like those kind of couples? They're trying to find the next super couple, aren't they? And I suppose are they testing the waters a bit? And I suppose the only way we get there is if we've gone on a mad journey beforehand. Said the J word. I don't know. I'm into it still. I'm still holding out for it. Maybe I've got more patience than you two. I don't know.
Yeah, you might have. I don't have a huge amount of patience. I think what I'd like to see is them not hanging out, having these intense conversations and getting all stressed about everything, but maybe just doing something normal together as friends. Just go and do something and spend some time together and just see how you feel once you've done that.
Yeah, everything just seems to be cut and dry, doesn't it? Go out with me. I can't remember it. Okay. There's no like.
Yeah.
Let's just be mates. Fancy going for a coffee? Let's go over the coffee cart, which is made up. That's made a few good appearances this week. And go and just have a coffee or a walk along the beach. It's always got to be really intense, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is like, does it have to be that intense if you're trying to build up each other's, relationship again? Let's just be mates, and then more it might come back to you. Or go to Stuart's Point Lighthouse or whatever, and stuff like that.
Do something.
I will take your point. Yeah, I will take your point on that. If they just both agree to like go bowling or something, if the feelings are there, whether you remember them or not, they'll surface, won't they? Yeah. Golf. Yeah.
No, not the G word.
No, I still haven't got over that. I couldn't get over that golf week. It was. I can't even talk about it.
Oh no!
Well, actually, that brings a nice segue onto Theo, who was also playing golf that day. And Ava is all over him like a rash.
Mm.
Right, the new Ava, the new and improved, much older looking Ava here. But behaving like a brat child still, acting out with Justin. All she wants to do is hang around with Theo and Kirby. Kirby's clocked it, hasn't she? But I think I'm starting to see Kirby as a bit of a jealous type. Doesn't like him on his phone. Whoever's pinging, all his fans pinging him. Because, as obviously we find out this week that it potentially is Ava. She's got a scrapbook and everything, which means, she's very, very Heather-esque. Yeah, absolutely. And somebody much older has decided that storyline. And there's this underlying. She's run away from her mum again because she's got this secret boyfriend. She's never off her phone, and she's here. Justin knows about this, and he's trying to talk to her all week. Can't nail down his own daughter or lay the law because he's so weak. Apparently, he can't even control his kid, and they end up clashing and all the rest of it. Yes, you're right. She's got this scrapbook. We find out it's Theo. This is why she wants to spend every waking minute with Theo. It's looking likely Ava is now the fan that's been sending him donuts, etc. Did we see this twist come in?
No, I didn't.
She's told her family she's got a fella. Is the fella Theo?
I think it is, isn't it? I think it's wishful thinking. Yeah, because they said that she met him online, didn't they? Because her mum sort of, said to her, and this is why they've fallen out. You're on your phone too much. What are you doing on your phone? And you're online too much. And she's gone, well, I've met a boyfriend. I've got a boyfriend on there that I'm chatting with. So this boy, and now she's saying it's not true, isn't she? Because Justin's called her out on it and said, your mum says you've got a boyfriend and you've been kicking off and acting out since this happened. Yeah. Tell me some information about this boyfriend. And then she's just gone, oh no, I made him up. It's all a lie. That's a bit strange, isn't it?
How old's she supposed to be, this incarnation of Ava?
I think, is it 15 or 16? She meant to be like that kind of age.
I was just thinking, she just turns up off the blue, didn't she? So
yeah. I think they might have aged her.
She's traveling to get there and stuff. So
yeah.
So I was thinking 10 or 11, but she's obviously older.
I think she must be older than that. I think they add a few years on, don't they? Because Leah went to Cyprus recently for Luke's 5th birthday. I think they've added like 2 years onto that. I don't think she is 5, or maybe it's the other way around. I tried to work it out the other day. When VJ left and the kid's age doesn't match up. So they do this. They don't remember how old people are meant to be, and then sometimes they fast forward them, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think that Luke thing's not too wrong because what was Luke's mum called?
The one that died. Oh God.
They did like a remake of the Bleg and Make beach death, didn't they?
Yeah.
For the 30th anniversary. Well, it's 35th this year.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think that baby's older than that.
Wasn't like a newborn at the time. I can't remember.
Can't remember either. I was trying to work it out the other day, and I was like, I'm sure that's like a year out.
They've definitely aged Ava here, and that's how they're giving the actress a storyline in it.
Yeah.
You've got to have someone a bit older here who can probably do more hours legally. How's this going to pan out, do we think? I'm thinking now, because I'm mainly looking at Kirby here thinking there's going to be some sort of showdown. Kirby's going to uncover something first because Kirby seems to have this sort of, no, jealous is probably a bit strong, but she doesn't seem to trust Theo, and then she's suspicious of Ava right away when she's all over him and so what? Do you know what I mean? Is it just me? Am I just making a mountain out of a molehill here?
No, I thought the same a few weeks ago because when Theo started to get these messages in the first place, and he was like, "Oh, what? I haven't replied," and she was like, "Oh, you should reply. Keep your fans happy. Send them something. It'll make a day." And then when he did, and this person started to be a repeat, messenger, she didn't like that, did she? She saw her ass, and she was like, "Oh, you shouldn't be sending her this much, communication or whatever on this app. It's so I don't. She's gone hot and cold, and I don't know whether this is unresolved stuff from when she was with Bob, and maybe she couldn't trust him, so now she's kind of feeling insecure about Theo as well. I don't know, but I am also getting the impression that the green-eyed monster is out, even though Ava's a child, essentially, isn't she? So
yeah.
That's why
I've got one.
How old she's supposed to be, because obviously we're guessing what's going to happen. I can't imagine Theo throwing a gob on her if she is under 16 or something.
If she's under 18, I think he's 21, isn't he?
Yeah. Is he?
Yeah, I don't think he'd be going anywhere near a 15, 16.
You know what these rock stars are like.
Oh, I know, yeah. Well, but they like the Hardy. But maybe it might pan out that way.
Oh God!
Me and Operation U-Tree and someone there or something, Alf in his jacket going out.
Yeah. He'd be the first one. He'd be snookered.
No, so I think it's going to pan out in traditional soap opera fashion, where she'll go to kiss him and Kirby will open the door, and it'll look like they have been kissing, and then he'll have to explain himself even though he's done nothing wrong. It'll be something like that, I think.
Yeah, and then she'll state, "Oh well, we've been messaging for months, and he's in love with me." It'll be one of these deluded, "I've got a boyfriend, but he's not really my boyfriend" storylines.
Yeah, I think Kirby will find the scrapbook.
Yeah.
Try and confront her, and then it'll be a bit of a mess from that point.
Yeah.
And like you say, she'll then blame Theo for leading her on, and go into Yabby Creek with her on his own, and oh gosh. Now, Marley, he's giving it a month. I don't know if I can say much about this. This is driving me absolutely up the wall.
Oh, no.
He's giving Summer Bay a month. Rose is sort of delighted, asks him what made him stay, fishing for compliments, and he says, "Oh, I made a pros and cons list." They kiss. She's dead worried about it. They go back to his caravan. They start getting jiggy. Afternoon delight time, but she just suddenly decides not to. Like, she freezes on the spot, runs away, then spends the whole day talking to her bloody brother about it, as if you'd do that. Like, you'd be absolutely mortified talking to your brother about it. And just like, he's talking her into going for it again. So then she decides to go for it again. I'm just like, oh my God. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's a good point. No, it's a good point, because she's just started to have that friendship with Kirby, hasn't she? Which seems like the ideal person to talk about all of this stuff with, but she's still going to her brother about it all. It's very odd. Their relationship is a bit strange, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I always thought that.
Even Marley's really open about it with Xander. I feel sorry for Xander. He's literally in the middle, because Marley's like, "Hey, your sister, hey," like all the time.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Can we just concentrate on surfing? I'm paying you to teach me. And you just pervert over my sister for the whole hour."
I know, yeah. Imagine me going up later on, like, and saying to me, "Oh, you're Cheryl. Oh, great day." You makes me go, rocking around that tree, innit? You know what I mean? You wouldn't be going, "Oh, I agree with you, mate." Like he's doing. It is a strange one. But I don't like Marley anyway, because I tweeted, didn't I? I think you replied, Sophie, that shirt he had on, he needs shoot for that.
I think that was
He should have been hounded out in the bay with that thing in the background saying, "Welcome to Summer Bay." He should have been out for that.
I think it was Sai that said, did you say you look like Air France? Sorry.
Yeah, that's all I see.
But you know what it looked like? One side of it was black. It looked like he had like a jacket draped over his left-hand side, and it wasn't. It was a black thick stripe, and it was horrible. And then Brie tonight had a stupid multicolored top on. It looked horrendous. Like, I'm not fascinated with it. Like, you know what I mean? But come on, these are supposed to be, the youth of Australia. Let's give them something than that. Yeah.
Oh,
Set
dear.
up, you know.
You're right. Brie does get some corkers, like some shirts of hers. Oh, they're
Maybe
like,
they share the same.
they might do. They remind me of
Yeah,
children's TV presenters from the 90s.
yeah. Because I keep meaning to look,
Dungarees and bright shirts.
yeah, Rod, Jane, and Freddie or something. You know. But I
I'm
always try
sat
to look at the end. You know when it goes in, when it goes into half screen and you can't read who the executive producer and all is. I keep meaning to look at who the costume designer is or costume buyer.
hunt them down.
Yeah, so to send them a strongly worded email. You know.
Just send them a
Full,
load of
di-
photos of like ASOS. This is what they should wear.
Yeah,
full
but even
disclosure, I'm sat here in a pair of dungarees.
a striped fan coloured shirt. But even the golf, going back to that, they made people look like golfers by Justin wearing a hat. You know that, that was it, wasn't it? Justin wearing a flat cap. Oh, that's a golfer. You know.
A naughty golfer. Naughty
Yeah.
golfer. Mm.
Halloween golfer. It's like a Halloween costume, wasn't it?
Disable
I
him.
know we've gone off the subject a bit. I know that was my fault. Sorry, but you know. No.
So we're not feeling this then. I'm guessing
No.
I'm not on my own.
No.
I was until recently. Like, I don't know. Marley, I liked Marley when he first arrived. I thought he was really nice. And then when he found out Rose was a cop and he went all weird for a couple of days, I've not felt the same about him since then. So I just think he was really rude, and I don't really get
Yeah.
how he
and
got
we've not
away
had
with
that
that.
explained. That's still not been
No.
explained yet, you know.
No, I just don't
Might
trust
make it more
cops.
interesting.
But I've got over
it
it.
just sort of, that was it, wasn't it? I don't like cops. And then I thought, well, again, that was out of character. She fought to win him when she's like this feisty woman of the
Yeah.
world, you know, and she fought to win him back. And I'm thinking, just leave him, you know, if he doesn't. I don't know what you do for jobs, but it's like me going out with one of you or fancy you, but not because of what your job you do. It's a bit shallow, isn't it?
It is a bit,
So
yeah.
he's already setting him up as a bit of a shallow fella, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Well,
or
shady.
dodgy. Yeah.
Yeah, or dodgy, yeah, because it was a copy, yeah. But as I
Yeah.
say, like,
And then how's
It's
she
actually-
not been? I keep saying, how's she not got the red flag there? How's she not seen that? How's she not thought, I'm going to look this fella up?
I know, and do you
Yeah,
know what?
exactly,
We need to
yeah, I know,
apologise because on last week's first look, we looked ahead at this week and we saw that Rose. It said something like, "Can she trust a man again?" or something, and we were like, "Hey, what?" You know. And then we stopped recording, and we then remembered that, oh yeah, she went out with Tex, you know, the baddie. And do you remember the whole? It wasn't till after, and then I remembered the whole storyline with her and Tex when they got together. You know, he was this handyman helping out at the caravan park. He was called Tex. That's all people knew about him. He was getting paid cash in hand. You know, it was a couple of weeks into their relationship, and then she started to question: is he really who he says he is? And then it wasn't until then that she went and did a background check on Tex, like using his number plate for his car and everything. Found out that wasn't his name. He was called Lee Wheeler, and he's part of this bikie group. So, of all of that, you know, wouldn't you be thinking, is Marley his real name? What do we know about this guy?
Yeah.
Why does he like cops?
There was no even hint to why she was, you know, freezing up sexually, because they were banging like a back door, weren't they, them?
They were a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and she wasn't like standoffish then, and then all of a sudden they wrote in this, oh, she's a bit afraid of sex. Where's that come from when she was?
I don't think it was that. I think it was afraid of being humiliated again because, you know, she had that relationship with Tex, slept with him, you know, rushed it really quickly. And then actually she didn't even know anything about him. She didn't know his real name or where he's come from or the fact that he was in this bikie gang. And I think that's all come flooding back, but not enough to make her go, maybe I'll ask about Marley's background and find out who he really is before we start doing this again. And instead of doing that, she's just kind of run away. It's like,
Well, I thought
Dean's mate as well, isn't it? So
at
least he's legit. He's not like some randomer. It's Dean's mate, so it's not like he's come in and Dean didn't know him and pretended to be his mate. Or something.
Well, hopefully, but then why has he got this attitude about cops? I think as a cop, if I was her, I'd be thinking I need to find more information about what that was about because that was really odd.
Yeah.
Very odd thing to say. I just thought when they were in the caravan, kissing and touching, and she turned, I just thought one or two things. She's either seen a gun or something, and she thought, I need to get out of here. Or she thought, oh, blimey, he's a big fella. No, thank you. One of the two.
I think they've already done it, though, haven't they?
I don't know.
He stayed over, didn't he, the other week?
At
Have I made that up? Yeah, have I made that up? I thought they'd already.
Yeah, so there is a bit of like overlap there of like storyline not really fitting together. Know what you mean? Yeah, he stayed over, didn't he?
I thought he did, but maybe I've hallucinated that. I thought we'd already got past that whole first.
My eyes had probably glazed over.
It might be that then, because I just assumed that they, like Macca said, they were banging a couple of weeks ago. So what's changed?
Maybe they were bevy then, and she let her defenses down, so to speak, or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't care.
Or we're supposed to be taking from this that she's catching feels and she's scared about that, maybe, but it's not really landing. If it's that, it's not working. If that's what they're going for.
No.
Well, you know what, banging like a back door, which I love that. You know what that makes? Babies, and that's what. Really poor way to move on to Gina Ziggy.
Not in the back door, though.
No, yeah, that's not going to work.
Whenever youngsters listening, ask your mum or dad about that one. Now.
Yeah, pause it and just resolve this matter instantly. They've decided, Ziggy, they're taking baby out for some fresh air, nearly forgetting to take her, which was so funny. Yeah. And they took her down to the coffee cart was there again, Macca. Took her down to the coffee cart for her first mocha chocolate-chino. And Ziggy's noticed that baby's got a temperature. Little Izzy, little Grometta, she's got a temperature. So they consult the midwife, don't they, in a bit of a tiz. She's getting a bit worked up. We know Ziggy struggled, we've said previously, post-birth. She struggled with her believing her abilities as a mother, and she's had a few moments. So she's really cautious, I think, and onto the phone. And they, as all health professionals on the phone would say to you, just to cover themselves, well, if you're worried, you take them to the hospital. So off they go, and all the tests get run, and it comes back that, in Dean's words, something gastro or something. So Ziggy's sort of spinning out a bit, isn't she, that they've done something wrong. They've given the baby some bacteria or what have you and made her feel ill. I don't think it's part of any sort of postnatal depression type story that we thought it was going to be. I think this is a new mum and genuinely a story. What happens? You panic. It's your firstborn. You feel like you've done something wrong. You second guess everything. You've now got to look after this tiny human. I think it was quite. I think it's quite a natural response to spin out a bit when your baby's ill for the first time, don't you?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I think because they've done no prep, I've been banging on about this for ages, but because they've done no prep before the baby's arrived, until the last minute where they were like, oh, we need a nursery and we need a cot and everything. And then Mac did all of that anyway. They've not really thought about what would happen when baby arrived. They got kicked out of the birthing class. They've not had any prep at all, done any research. And now the baby's here. And the first thing that's happened where they didn't know what was going on, it's made Ziggy paranoid, and she's read everything on the internet now. She's read all the blogs.
Oh, Dr. Google.
Yeah, and all this stuff that you probably should have done for the 9 months before the baby arrived. She's now cramming. It's like an exam, and she's cramming for it the night before, even though the baby's already here. And now she's like, oh, we need to sterilize stuff, and we need to do this, and we need to not have toxins, and everything I eat comes out in the breast milk. It's like, you would have known this if you actually thought about it before you had the baby. But now you're doing it all in a day and panicking yourself over every possible risk or, eventuality.
All roads lead to their ill preparedness.
Yeah,
don't they?
It does.
Breast milk that tastes of free pizzas from Salt.
Exactly.
that seems to be their diet, doesn't it?
Fixed with one salad, apparently.
Yeah.
Mad.
Are your coffee beans organic? I'm like, Come from a tree.
I actually laughed out loud at that line. That was a brilliant line to put in to make it look as if like she's gone suddenly all environmental friendly now after
Yeah.
realizing that her breast milk was made up of what she eats.
Yeah. Oh, we've got to wash our hands.
Hey,
Oh my
That's
god.
the first thing you think of, isn't it? You know, if you, oh, I've got my breast milk. I wonder if coffee beans are organic.
Oh dear.
Not willing to give up the coffee. Decaf or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Is it
I'll eat.
fair trade?
Yeah. I think it's natural. I agree with you. They're wholly unprepared, aren't they? And they just seem like they're just making it up as they go along. And I'm sure, new parent would feel that way with their firstborn. So it probably speaks more to that kind of audience than us, maybe. And that's why we've got a bit of a flippant nature towards it. But definitely, sort of, I'm glad it's not her spiraling, although I'm on the fence about whether we're going that way. She's now getting quite neurotic. Dean's just warned her tonight, you're going a bit far, babe, like this is a bit much,
Yeah.
wash my hands to go and cuddle my baby. And we were talking off air just before, weren't we, about this? Sophie, Mac, I don't know, were you there? Isn't it not, are germs not good for babies to build up the immune? Is she going to make the problem worse?
I think you have to have a clean environment, but I think having a completely sterile environment where you're cleaning constantly is probably not a good idea for a newborn, because they do need to build up their immune system. I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just guessing, but I'm worried that we're going to turn into like a health anxiety, like you say, neurotic. So we've gone from being baby blues into now being just paranoid about everything that could kill the baby. I think now, I don't know. I'm hoping not.
Right. The more you expose yourself, the more immunity.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I know a statistic. There's been men and sewage workers have less days off per head than any other occupation.
Oh, really?
Is that so?
Yeah, and they reckon it's all down to because they build up immunity very quickly because they're surrounded by dirt and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh.
So there we go. More education, people. More education.
It's not just home and away, is it? With me,
So I think she's going to make the problem worse, and I think I'm on the fence about where it's going to go. Is she's going to make it worse, sort of thing? And now she's turned to. I'm worried about it because she's turned to Marilyn. And she's gone for the whole Marilyn, what's natural, what's this, and Marilyn's getting involved. So anything could happen now. There'll be crystals on Monday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sage in the house. Sage the house. Put the crystals in the window. Whatever. Yeah.
Summoning angels and all sorts by Wednesday, I'm sure.
None of which is going to help the baby, but there we go. I mean, it's all fine stuff to do, but it's not going to, make the baby immune to the whole world, is it really?
No, that's right. Now, somebody else who's sort of summoned recently, who was unwanted, was Gabe. Now, we were quite strong on last week's episode about our loathness towards Gabe. Is that even a word? We loathe him, we hate him.
It is now.
Yeah. And he takes a knock to the head. He's thought about his own storyline this week. So rather than sort of following Mac round like a puppy, he's gone for a surf on his own, or swim, or whatever he was doing. Not between the flags. Oh my God. Right. It's happened a few times now, and the scenes are killing me, where Neek's on the beach and he's got nothing to say, so he just goes, "Between the flags," and then walks off shot. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
That's like the third time now. I'm like, that's Neek's new catchphrase.
It is.
When they need him to move out of the way, he just shouts to the sea, "Between the flags." So Gabe's been swimming, and he's taken a knock to the head by a surf club. YMCA paramedic Xander is on hand to insist that he goes get checked out. So he goes to the hospital and Bree uncovers some abnormalities, runs some tests, bloods aren't normal, asks him about his medical history, and we learn that he's been keeping that to himself. Now, we knew he had a secret, but we didn't know he was hiding that he was in remission from cancer. Now, we've got quite a poor opinion of him thus far. We think he's out of order. We think he's a bit of a we think he's a right one, don't we, for what he did to her at the altar with the money and ditching her. Then he's turned up. I suspected he was after the business from the beginning. He seems to have been way too involved in that. Was that a red herring now? That's going through my mind. Or was that his game still? Have I fallen for it? Have I fallen for the red herring? What do we make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a bit premature, really, with knowing what's going on with the storyline, aren't we? Because I think maybe next week, when he has this out with Mac and she finds out the truth, etc., are we supposed to then believe that if he's been in recovery for a year, all that time that he was ill, worrying about whether he was going to get better or whether something awful was going to happen to him, are we supposed to think that he spent all that time thinking about his regrets? Like, if he did die, he'd regret not treating Mac better, he'd regret not being with her now, he'd regret taking that money from her dad. Is that where we're going with this storyline? I'm not sure. Is that why he's back? Because he's realized that he was a douchebag and it took the being ill to make him see that? Is that where the storyline is going? I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think, when it's weird, like when people get older, they tend to become more interested in God, don't they, just in case.
Yeah.
So,
hedge your bets.
I think, yeah. So I think, again, when you have got a life-threatening thing, or it is like you're terminally ill, I think you do reevaluate things, don't you? You think, oh, I should have done that. Look, I don't want to die with any regrets, so I'm going to make up all that I've done wrong, so people will at least forgive me or see my side of the story before they die.
Yeah,
I just think it could be possibly that playing on his mind.
Make amends.
Yeah, make amends, and he's not really as bad as she always thought he was, and this was the reason, type thing. But did she jilt him at the altar before? Did he know he had that cancer the first time around when he jilted at the altar or whatever? If he didn't, then he's making up for something he didn't even know he had, really, isn't he?
I don't know whether it was back then. Yeah, because we know that it was 4 years ago that he left her, didn't we? But we don't know when he got the cancer, and because we know he's a year out of in remission, but we don't know how long he was treated for and when it was found. 4 years seems like a long time, or 3 years even seems like a long time. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure it's related to him leaving her the first time around, but I do think that maybe it's given him some clarity to think, oh, I could have died and I don't want to die, with all this stuff that I've done. But why hasn't he, if that is the case, because obviously we don't know whether that is the case or not, I'm just speculating, but if that is the case, why has he come back and not been open about it? Why has he come back and just been like, oh, let me have a look at your business, I can help you, and oh, by the way, I'm sorry I took the money? It's a bit weird.
Yeah, this is why I'm still sus.
Yeah, maybe he feels like he's got to overcompensate, let's get this business running smoothly and that'll be my lasting legacy. I changed things around and I got everything working properly and the way I was supposed to do before, I jilted it and split up. So maybe he's doing it that way, showing how useful he can be, and he's not really as bad as he remembers him.
Yeah, I get that.
He wants to be.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that. I think it's like clean. It's like, if I was dying, I'd probably admit to our poor that I did eat that Twix in the fridge in 1984.
Get all your confessions out.
That I've always denied, But I think you do. You sort of you do your own confession, don't you? To the people if it's important to. You know what I mean? So
I tell you, I'm worried here because I think Mac just always gets the shit end of the stick, you know. And I think with this woman, it's one thing after another, and I'm a bit like, really, he's going to come back from the past now. We've just heard in tonight's episode, he's refusing to treatment. He's actually refusing to go and have the more
confirmation.
in-depth test on it. Yeah, he knows in his heart of hearts, doesn't he? And he's not wanting to go through it again, is he? He's not up for the fight. He's just not bothered. So what is his game here? Why has he come back? Why would he do this to her? You know, I'm a bit like, and he goes, doesn't he, tonight to try and end it, you know, to try and save her, if you like. But even doing that by not being truthful is hurting her, because he's come back, he's spent weeks winning around, edging away at her sort of tough outer exterior, if you like, you know, her wall. He's been, you know, pipping that wall down, hasn't he? And then he just comes through and he's like, oh, by the way, now I'm leaving. We're not on the same page about moving in, you know, I'm going to leave now. And unbeknownst to him, Dean's actually already told her. Whether that was the right thing to do or not is another thing. But
he's sort of creating more heartache. He's put her through heartache, and now he's come back, if he knew this, to put her through more heartache. And he's thinking, why is he doing that? You know, why did he could have just died wherever he was living, and she wouldn't have even known. And it would have probably been a better way to go than
because ultimately he's in remission.
Back, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's grafted hard, hasn't he, to sort of win her trust again after what was, you know, jilting at your altar. You don't just get over that. You know, he's after graft hard, hasn't he? And I'm shocked she's even entertained it, if I'm being honest. And so he's downright lucky. But he's only been in remission 12 months. He's not got the all clear, has he? So why is it? You know, when they've been catching up about the missing years, pretty sure you should have mentioned it, kid. Do you know what I mean?
That's the bit that I'm finding really hard to empathise with. You know, I get that we're probably supposed to feel sorry for him now because we found out this, you know, this backstory, his medical history, and you know, it's awful that's happened to somebody, and it's awful that it's come back. But I'm not feeling empathy with the character at the moment because of the fact that he's hiding it, and it's such a big thing to hide, and yet he's come back and he's immediately immersed himself in her life. Got into her business, got secrets about what she's been up to since he's been away, but he's not shared this massive thing with her. And if that is the reason why he's back, then I think he should have had that conversation and said, it wasn't just the 50k that I feel guilty for taking, and it's taken me 4 years to get here because actually I didn't feel guilty for the first 3 until I got cancer, or whatever the story is. I just feel like the cancer story is the reason why he's here. And he's not being honest about it. And it's, I don't know, I just don't feel any empathy for him at the moment.
Well, maybe. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I was just saying, maybe he hasn't led with the cancer thing because he didn't want to win her back through sheer sympathy. He may want to win her back to the person he is rather than, I'll get back with it because I feel sorry for him because he got cancer. Yeah. You know, he sort of, we like paint, say, the bad picture of me, but maybe he thought, I don't want the sympathy cop.
But he's back in her good books now. He could have told her.
Yeah. I know, but that's what he's probably on a euphoric high, and then he's back in there.
That's true.
You know, and then saying, "Oh, by the way, what a great night! I've got cancer." It brings everything that he's worked for over the last few months to a grinding halt, and it's all doom and gloom rather than the happiness that Mac and him have been sharing recently.
Well, he's left it too late because it's come back. But he could have told at any point in the last few weeks. He could have said, "Oh, by the way, you know, I had cancer. I'm now, you know, in remission," because that would have been true a week ago.
Yeah,
I just think he's left it too long to come out 100%. And tell her.
Yeah,
I'm glad Dean told her, because I was getting really annoyed. It wasn't Dean's responsibility to tell her, and it wasn't Dean's place to tell her. And I'm sad that he had to do it, but I'm glad that she knows, because I'm sick of people gaslighting Mac and pulling the wool over her eyes. And I was like, thank God somebody's told her the truth for a change.
For a change, I agree. I think everyone is like you said, down on Mac constantly. My lasting thought on this one is, I know me. And I know home and away cancer storylines. And I am going to get sucked right into it. It's going to be sad as hell, this. If we're now going to have to watch him die. I know, and I can't stand the bloke, but...
I think it's karma. I think it's karma coming back to bite him on the arse. And I don't care. Right, Si, it's time for your say on the Bay. So this is what we do at the end of every main episode of the podcast every week. We look at the hashtag on Twitter, Home and Away, and we see what people are saying about the show, or sometimes we look on Facebook or any messages that we've got. So if you want to get involved, we love hearing from you. We love hearing what you think about the show and any of the storylines or the characters that are happening at the moment. So we are on Twitter and we're on Instagram at Coastal News Pod. We're also on Facebook as well. We've got a Facebook page. We've got an email address, coastalnewspod@gmail.com. And we tweet along with the episodes. So we watch the episodes on channel 5 Star, and we watch the first look episodes normally, the 6:30 ones. And we tweet along with the episodes on the hashtag and generally get involved with all the conversation that's going on Twitter. So if you want to get involved, let us know your opinions on the show. And we'll probably discuss them on here, won't we?
Please do, yeah. Get on the pod, yeah. Get your message
definitely.
on it.
Get your message on the pod. So this week, there's not been a huge amount of chatter on Twitter this week, actually. Bits and pieces, but I think what we're going to look at this week is actually an opinion that came, I think, from Facebook initially, wasn't it? Because somebody called Philip was this the which Facebook group was this? Do you remember?
It was on the official Home and Away.
Oh, was it the Home and Away page? Okay. Yeah. The official Home and Away page on Facebook. There's been a conversation on one of the posts on there about this Wi-Fi story that was going on between Alf and John, wasn't there? Which we didn't touch on a huge amount in the main episode because we're just like, oh my God, is this really going into week 2? This is week 2 of Wi-Fi war. A bit mad. So we're interested to see what other people thought of this storyline, because obviously they've given Alf and John something to have scenes about. They've given them, reasons to interact, and that's great. I love those characters. I love seeing them in the scenes. But this storyline feels a bit odd, doesn't it, in context of Home and Away in general? Thinking that Cersei's been stuck in the time warp. It's still got a modem that you reset with a paperclip, and now we've suddenly got to get mod cons in 2023 and get the get a router and get the Wi-Fi sorted. It's come out of nowhere, this storyline.
Yeah, and I don't quite know what a new upgraded router does to having emails on your phone. I'm still trying to work out the link there.
Yeah, because part of the storyline, the reason why Alf has got so angry at John is he's obviously they've upgraded the tech, I think, haven't they? So when he's gone to log in at the surf club on the computer, it's asked him for a password, and he's not been able to put the password in because John's been going, it's 12 characters and you need a special character and you need a number or whatever it is. And he's getting mad about that, isn't he? And then, later on, you're right, he gives him that manual, like the idiot's guide version, because he calls him an idiot, essentially, which is what Mr. Stewart's getting angry about, because he doesn't want to feel like this tool that doesn't understand anything modern. And he gives him this IT guide and says, even a kid could understand this, and that annoys him again. So this, as far as I can make out, this manual teaches him how to add his email to his phone. So this is like, I don't get what this has got to do with the surf club, really. Is it that he doesn't want to use the computer now, so he wants to do his emails on his phone? I don't get it. I don't get the link between the two. No. Very odd.
Passed me by that one, definitely.
Yeah. Or did he not have Wi-Fi on his phone before, so he couldn't have his email on his phone?
I don't know.
I don't get it. I don't know whether somebody that doesn't understand tech has written this storyline. Maybe that's the problem. Bizarre. But anyway, what do other people think about this storyline? Let's have a look. So Philip on the Facebook page has said Alf is beyond redemption, which is quite a statement, isn't it? Beyond redemption. He's a veritable Luddite. He's in a minority of one. And you actually replied to this, didn't you? So you said, I tend to agree, although it's an unpopular opinion. John can do stuff that Alf can't, and that's hang out with the younger people of Summer Bay as well as the elders.
Yeah. It stuck out to me, this comment. I mean, it was a powerful comment.
It was
about Alf.
Beyond redemption. There's nothing you can do, Mr. Stewart. That's it for you.
Do you know what I think it is? And it's why I tend to agree. Alf, out of the two of them this week, Alf, he's ranting, he's raving, he's unreasonable behavior, in my opinion. Just sort of, and I know that's what he's like, and that's always been part of him, but he's just exploded at John and exploded at things, and he's taken it out, because he needs a password. We've all had those excruciating moments where your password's not long enough, you've not got a special character, and we've all helped the elderly people in our families with it and had those infuriating
weekly.
Yes, yeah, we've all done it.
Yeah.
And and you and I work in an industry where that happens a lot, right? So
we have customers that we have to deal with.
Yes. So I completely understand that's what we're going for, but Alf's attitude, I think, is wearing thin on people. Like, is it Philip? Did you say?
Yeah.
And I agree with him. This week, I could not listen to another word of Alf going off the scale about it. I just was like, I'm worn down by it, and it sounds like others are too.
I think a lot of people are feeling the same as you. I'll be honest, I'm not there. I'm a little bit flabbergasted as to why this has dragged on for 2 weeks. I'll be honest, because I'm just like, this is a bit of a non-story, but it's bizarre. I'm just grateful to have the scenes. I'm just grateful to see John and Alf. And I'll be honest, I know Alf rubs people up the wrong way, and I feel bad saying it, Alf. I have to call him Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart rubs people up the wrong way. I've got to show some respect. I love him. I've loved him for years. And I actually think Mr. Stewart used to be way worse than this. He used to be really angry all the time. Like, this was his whole personality, like, not that long ago. And he's mellowed out quite a lot, actually. And the outbursts now, I think, are so obvious when they happen because he's so, out of control when he's angry. And I think I got immune to that back in the 90s and early 2000s because he was like that all the time. He was always shouting at people and calling people morons and idiots and flaming galahs and everything else. So I think he's actually mellowed out over the years to the point now when he just blow up like this. It just makes me laugh and it makes me think about what he used to be like, and I actually love it. Like, I think he's supposed to be a boomer and grumpy, and I think this whole storyline is that Alf doesn't, he's got so much pride. He doesn't like to look like a moron. Like, he's quite happy to point out when other people are being morons and call them a moron or a flaming galah or whatever it is. But if somebody thought he was a moron, he'd be mortified. So I think this is what he does. He gets angry when he doesn't understand something, and he's so stubborn that he won't say to John, do you know what, sit down with me for 5 minutes and teach me what I'm doing with this IT stuff because I don't understand it. He wouldn't do that. He's not a normal, reasonable person. He would go, oh, you're flaming galah, it doesn't work, you've made a right hash of this. What he actually means is, I don't understand it and I can't use it and I don't want to tell you that. Is where I'm coming from. But I do get that people are annoyed with him, and there's been quite a lot of comments about it. So one person actually said, Hannah Becker said, I love Alf and John's relationship. So I think some people are finding them funny. Barbara replied as well and said she finds them really funny. But there are quite a few people. Kerry said Alf and Rue are toxic. So throwing Rue under the bus there as well.
Oh God, just bring Rue in.
Sorry, Rue, it's hard. Yeah.
Isn't this interesting? And we're talking about the Stewarts here. Do you know what I mean? Alf Stewart himself, and we've got comments like this. It's really, this is fascinating for me because we think of Home and Away, we think of Alf untouchable. He is Home and Away. These last few years, he's gone part-time. He's spent time in Marimbula. He's had months off screen, a couple of months on screen. His stories, he's sort of slowly stepped back a bit into the shadows a little bit, hasn't he, on screen? And we've speculated in the past about that being sort of deliberate. I mean, he's cracking on a bit, isn't he? And I've sort of said in the past, I wonder if it's sort of gearing us up, sort of coaxing us slowly off him, as we sort of head towards the inevitable at some point. Bless. But, he's not going to be on the show forever, is he? So, because he's such a central part of the show, we don't want to lose such a lovable person the middle of the show and pull him out of the show and then you know, everything around him just sort of caves in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to know that life without him can happen in the Bay, don't we? So I do agree that's the right approach, and I think this might, for me, this is fascinating because it's probably the first glimpse I've had of the fans of saying, you know, yeah, I'm accepting that.
Yeah.
That happening.
Yeah,
am I right to say that?
I think it's the first time I've seen people be quite so negative against Alf. I think, like you
Yeah.
say, when you say to someone, "Oh, I watch Home and Away," or "I do a podcast about Home and Away," the first question people say is Alf still on the show?
Yeah,
You know, that's a running joke, I think, as well with the cast. You know, I think what's the guy's name that played Colby? I've forgotten his name. I follow him on Instagram. Oh yeah, Tim
Franklin.
That's it. Yes, he did a really funny reel on Instagram recently about things that actors get asked, and in the comments I saw, I think it was Emily Simons. I think she replied and said, "Yeah, you know, when you tell people that you're in Home and Away, the first question you get is, you know, is Alf still on it, and what's Alf like?" And so, you know, even they're joking about, you know, that's what people remember the show for. They remember it for Mr. Stewart. I can't call him Alf; it feels wrong. So wrong, Mr. Stewart. I'm like Katie, what's the name? Kate Ritchie. You know, he's always Mr. Stewart to me.
Oh.
But I do think that there is that sort of that viewpoint, isn't there, that he is Home and Away. But I think you're right. I think people that watch the show, we are being weaned off him. And I think maybe these kind of storylines are supposed to make us not feel so attached to him. I don't know, possibly. So that we feel a bit more removed from him, and you know,
an interesting thought if that's the case, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit sad. I feel a bit sad because I love him, but
he's gonna look. He's Alf Stewart. Do you know what I mean? Like, we love him. Do you know what I mean? We love him to bits. Like, but you know, I think, has he changed? Yeah, I don't know. Tell us if
I think he's mellowed out. I honestly think he's mellowed out. I remember when he used to rant and rave all the time and shout at people and call people idiots. He used to say way worse stuff than he says now. Probably can't get away with some of the stuff he used to say to people.
Yeah. And I'm sure now we've got this on this segment of the show.
Yeah.
And now we've started this discussion. I'm sure others will reach out and tell us what they think, because it sounds like some people find it funny and charming and part of him, like you and those people you just mentioned, and some are like using words like toxic beyond redemption. Like, ooh,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, like the toxic beyond redemption, we've got he's a grumpy git, a flaming galah. I hate Mr. Stewart, such an annoying old fart. You know, a lot of these characters. Yeah, this one says Alf Stewart is such an annoying old fart. John Palmer, on the other hand, has turned into a really lovable character.
See, do you know what? I can't disagree with it. I feel nowadays, and this isn't obviously anything on Alf, nothing on John, whatever, but I think as sort of old patriarchal characters, I would choose John over Alf.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're looking for, isn't it, as well? You know, John, for me, I like his scenes because he's the comedy relief, and he's funny. You know, he's funny with the diner ladies. He's funny with the band. You know, he's funny with Nico when they're at work and that kind of thing as well.
And that's what makes John so great, so his versatility. He can go, we've said it before, haven't we? He can go between all the different groups and it works. He's got that rapport with the young ones who are getting all the storylines, because they obviously, that's the way it is. You know what I mean? So he's in with all them, but then he goes to the diner for a brew and he's in with all them lot as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He can do that. Alf can't.
No.
Alf can't.
And it would be weird if they suddenly made him interact with Eden and Remy. I'd find that really weird. I wouldn't like it. I'd be like, no, what are you doing? Mr. Stewart doesn't hang around with the youths of the Bay.
Can you even imagine? I nearly said Mr. Stewart. Alf, Mr. Stewart, whoever. Can you imagine them in the band house on that set? But I just can't see it.
It would be wrong. Alf wouldn't pop in and make Eden a cup of tea and see if she's all right. You know, it's just so weird. I just can't imagine it. So I think they're two very different characters. I think they get lumped together because they're the older male characters of the Bay. But apart from that, they've not got a huge amount in common, really. I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do we think about that? You know, throwing Rue in there as well, that she's toxic.
That's interesting because she's a bit. I don't think she's toxic. I think she's a bit sort of spare. She's a bit Prince Harry. She doesn't really do much. I'm still a bit like, what does she do for a living? Like, no. And then she just sort of flicks about. It doesn't do anything, does she? She just comforts. She sort of strong arms Marilyn because they live together. Her says a few things about her dad. We had that whole thing about her having the run-in with her dad, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, we had a massive story obviously last year about the kidney stuff, but that I don't think that was toxic. I thought that was a brave and great thing of her to do. I think she's become a bit dull.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think it's a shame really because when Rue was a teenager, she was a tearaway. She was a bit of a madam, really. She wasn't a very nice character, actually, and that's been called out on the hashtag a few times. That she wasn't very nice. Then she kind of went away for years, you know, when we're supposed to think that she had this great career in New York and she's done loads of different things. Like she's been I'm sure she works in a school as a counsellor or something, or a teacher. She's been a tutor. You know, I think she did wedding planning years ago. You know, she's done quite a lot of things. Owned little businesses of her own, and then now she just seems to just go between the bait shop and home and the diner and just hang around with her dad all day, and it made her into a bit of a sado. Strange. And getting involved in other people's lives, but because she hasn't got one of her own.
I've been saying it from the start of this podcast. When we started this podcast, I've been saying she needs a fella.
She needs a lot. I think she needs a career. She needs something to do, or a hobby, or
she needs to move out of her father's house.
Yeah, she needs
to get a life. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for listening. We will be back with more episode discussion from Summer Bay soon. Until then, join the discussion online at Coastal News Pod.